Welcome to Knit Your Stress Away, the podcast for moms who want to knit instead of scroll. I'm Nadine, and I help overwhelmed moms swap doom scrolling for knitting so you can finally have 20 minutes of peace that don't involve a screen. Whether you're brand new to knitting or getting back into it after years away, this show will teach you how to use knitting as a tool to calm your nervous system, set boundaries with your phone, and reclaim time for yourself without the guilt. No fancy techniques, no complicated patterns, just some practical tips, real talk about stress and motherhood, and simple ways to make knitting a part of your everyday life. So put down the phone, grab your needles, and let's knit the stress away, one stitch at a time. Hey, it's Nadine. Welcome back to Knit Your Stress Away. We're back. Can you believe it? So if you're new here, perfect timing. If you've been here before, I want to say thank you so much, so much for sticking around during the break that turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it would. Yes, I disappeared for 6 months, as it turns out. And today I want to tell you why, what happened, what I figured out while I was gone, and what is happening with this podcast as we are going forward. So let's talk about it. So, 6 months. That is sort of a long time in the podcast world. And I didn't announce it. So it was sort of sudden. And I've gotten a lot of messages from you guys like, hey, where's the podcast? What are you doing? Where are you? I also disappeared from Instagram at the same time. So let me explain. Here's what happened. It's plain and simple, actually. My family needed me. My oldest was going knee-deep into college prep in the fall. This all happened at the end of the summer last year, about August. And we're already doing school from home, so I'm pretty busy over here with my 3 kiddos at home. And I had to make a decision. Either, keep pushing through and make it sort of work, I guess, which didn't feel like that was actually happening. It didn't feel like I was making anything work. It was like a little here and a little here, like one foot in here and the other foot over there, and it just wasn't great. So the other choice was to step back and be present for what mattered most. And I chose my family, and I chose zero guilt about it. As you know, I preach on this podcast, and it's what I always talk about. So it was exactly what I needed, what we needed, and I am looking back being so grateful that I actually took that time. As we speak, my daughter got into multiple schools that she applied to. She's still waiting for some admissions decisions to come back, so we're not at the part where she has figured out which school she's going into, but just having been part of that process and journey, I'm really, really glad that I took the time to truly be present with her as we were navigating that. That was my first time navigating the whole thing as well, so I learned a lot, and hopefully I'm better prepared now for the next child, which is literally coming up this year, to go through the same process with him. But also during that break, I really got clear on something else, and that actually now refers to this podcast and to what I do here, what I'm here for you guys, right? What this podcast and this whole mission of the Knitting Mamas is actually about, and who it's really for. Because I felt like I was trying to cover a lot before. It was knitting techniques. It was teaching new knitters, which I actually love to do, but also trying to figure out maybe pattern design, lifestyle tips. We kind of ventured into book clubs. It was a lot, and it felt slightly scattered, and I knew kind of like the essence of what I wanted to bring to you guys every week and what I wanted to teach you, but I don't think I was saying it clearly enough. So I kind of took the time to figure that out at the same time as well, so that I could return and really do what this podcast is meant to be doing for you. So here's what I realized. I had been talking about knitting for stress relief for a while. Obviously, the podcast is called Knit Your Stress Away, so that was always at the heart of it. But now I want to get laser focused in on that for real. This podcast is for moms who are tired of ending every single night on their phones, and they want something that actually calms them down and that really does work, but that isn't necessarily the beaten path, right? Like, oh, meditate more, or, whatever, read a book. Like, all those things are great. I am not saying they're not. But I know that knitting is something that a lot of people don't necessarily even think about as a tool in their self-care pocket. And I think that's what I want to change. That's the focus. And I know so well how much easier it is said than done to, quote unquote, just put the phone down. So we are going to go over ways and tools that actually stick, and that will make that a lot easier, because otherwise, we would all be doing it already. Like, we would all be not addicted to our phones, and we would get all the good sleep we need, and we would never have a problem with any of that affecting us. But it's just not the reality. So we have to work at it, a little more regularly, and I'm going to be here to help you with that. And obviously, we're integrating knitting as the number one tool to, like, your antidote to scrolling, if you will. So if you're overwhelmed, overstimulated, scrolling at 10 p.m. and then feeling worse, not better, this is the show for you. So if you know any other moms who are like, yep, I fit that category, send them over here. Send them over here. It's going to be amazing. So just to be clear, I'm not here to turn you into a master knitter, because guess what? I'm not a master knitter. I love knitting, and I love a challenge. I talked about that before. There's the mindless knit, and then there's the challenging knit, the one that you need to truly focus on, and all those things have value. But I am certainly not here to teach you everything about knitting and all the techniques, but I am here to teach you how to use knitting as a tool to calm your nervous system, to set boundaries with your phone, and to give yourself 20 minutes of peace. And that's something that I think is so needed, right, for us moms. And there's days when that doesn't happen. And this is where I come in. And this is where these reminders come in, so that you can continue to build this habit into your life. But here's the thing. Even if you're completely brand new to knitting, or maybe you used to do it years ago like me and you want to get back into it, this is the right place for you, because we still are going to talk about how to start, how to get started with knitting. If you're like, yep, want to do that, sounds amazing, have no clue how to do that, right? So there's definitely a place for you here. And we'll also talk about the science of why knitting works so well, how to build a habit when you have zero time left, and also phone boundaries that don't require too much willpower, because that's the problem, right? It's like, oh yeah, just put the phone down. Yeah. Okay, tried that, doesn't work. And yes, I'll still teach you techniques, and I'm here for any beginner who is brand new to the craft. We got you. We got you, okay? But I always want to look at it from the lens of, how is this helping you feel less stressed and more like yourself and more relaxed, more at peace? Because there are so many things that are being thrown at us all day long. And right now we've got news that are just, outrageous. Let's just, call it what it is. And all those things have an impact on us. So let's try to find the antidote to that, or at least a little bit. So we can feel a little bit more relaxed here. So what can you expect going forward from the Knit Your Stress Away podcast? We're going to have new episodes every Wednesday. They used to be Tuesdays. They're going to be Wednesdays now. I had to adjust a little bit. Some will be teaching episodes. Some will be the real talk about stress, about motherhood. And I'm hoping to bring some guests on occasionally. As you guys know, we've had designers, knitting designers in the past on this podcast, but also other moms, and maybe even some experts on digital wellness, which I think it would be so cool, right? Someone who can actually really, truly teach us about detoxing our phone life. I think that would be fantastic. But really, it all comes back to the question, how does this help us knit instead of scroll? Because really, that's the essence here. And that is something that I've been bringing back to the podcast over and over and over in the past. And I feel like it's always landing right back there. So if you're ready to start, I actually made you something. It's a free guide. It's called Swap Scrolling for Stitching. I'll teach you what to buy to start knitting, how to actually get started, and how to build the habit into your life, even if you've never touched needles before. The link is in the show notes. And if you're like, oh, but I already know how to knit, this is still for you, because it's going to help you make like sort of a reset, right? It's like a 3-day reset in there where you can kind of look at your phone habits a little bit closer, and then find ways to throw that thing in the corner and pick up your needles instead. Once again, easier said than done. So I have a couple of really cool tips in there that's going to make that a lot easier. So go to the show notes, grab that free guide right now, and get started. Get that ball rolling over here, okay? And if you want to follow along between the episodes, I am going to back on Instagram. You may have seen me around there already if you're following me there. And the handle is at @thenittingmamas_. That's where I hang out most days of the week. I'm going to say most days because I can promise you I'm not doing it every day. That is built into my, balance plan over here so that I can show up for you guys, but I can also show up for my family, which is very important. Both things are extremely important to me. But I'm going to post some tips. I'm going to post teaching reels and real talk about how knitting is a missing piece in your self-care journey. So that's the update. It's a short and sweet one today for the first episode back. I'm back. I'm excited. And I am so, so glad that you're here. Whether this is the first time you're hearing about this podcast or you've been here in the past, this podcast has been around since 2023. I am super glad that you are still here or new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Next week, we are going to dive into the science of why knitting actually calms your nervous system. This will be a fun one. And I promise you'll never look at it as just a hobby again, because it is so much more than that. All right, guys, happy rest of your week. I will see you next week in a new episode. Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're ready to swap your screen time for some peace, I made you a free guide called Swap Scrolling for Stitching. It'll teach you what to buy, how to start, and how to build the habit, even if you've never touched needles before. And if you already knit or crochet, this will help you build that habit into your life consistently. Link is in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, I would love it if you'd leave a quick review. This helps other stressed moms find the show and discover that there's a better way to unwind than scrolling Instagram at 10 p.m. Follow me on Instagram at @thenittingmamas_ for daily tips, and I'll see you next week for another episode.